50th reunion for cmha.
Five people are musical, and of course our house is cool. And we are cooperating individuals in the community. And the best part is the Canadian Mental Health Institute advocates help at least 3 a day. I'm Charmaine Burns, the City Magazine.
I'm sorry, can I ask you to...
How did you get involved in it?
Well, we promote taking a second for yourself in our atmosphere, and in return you come here and meet your friends, and
Within the region? Okay. And how much money are you hoping?
it's like walking into the Arctic. Yes.
Live in Canada, and many of the drugs are being prescribed as antidepressants. It's no wonder, as the second most diagnosed in 1996, 5 Boston lost her job. It wasn't long before she also lost 3 pounds. What's my favorite thing about this? Eventually, Barb discovered always medical. After being diagnosed with weak someone's being suffering from warming, and it's really coming out for any age. But the other thing is that so I'm diagnosed with autism in Canada. And according to the World Health Organization, by the year 2020, appetite and overwhelming.
Did you guys go down and check out the timeline? Did you put your name?
We're heading.
Hi there, can I have your name, please? The better half.
We could staff 24 hours a day to provide supervision, to access the application, to
Hello. I'm going to totally mess Sandy up by moving the microphone up, and then when she comes and speaks, she'll...
Make it cooler.
Anyway. So welcome. My name is Frank Van Nee. I'm the current chair of the board here at CMHA Peel Branch, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here tonight on behalf of the board. I'd like to thank you for attending and making this such a special event. This is one of several events we're going to do this year as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. And not all of us have been around here that long. Although I am over 50, so I could have been. But it's amazing to think of 50 years ago, that 50 years ago, some people actually had the vision to start a CMHA branch here, as they did in other parts of the country as well. And they had the vision to create this organization, and here we are today. And one of the reasons it amazes me is that even after 50 years, it seems like we've done a lot, but there's still so much that needs to be done with respect to mental health. And even after 50 years of CMHA branches, there's still stigma, and there's still not enough resources to deal with all the challenges that we have in our communities with mental illness. So, but tonight really is a time to celebrate. It's a time to celebrate what we have done and where we've come. Starting from a humble grassroots community organization and grown into a professional community health services provider. And I say professional for two reasons. One is that we do offer many clinically based programs, and it's something that we're very proud of, that how we've evolved into really a mental health services provider. And also say professional because we just recently were accredited by the Canadian Centre for Accreditation through their Building Healthier Organizations program. This was a huge achievement for CMHA Peel. A lot of work went into it, and I know a lot of the staff who are here tonight put a lot of work and effort into that. And we're all very proud of receiving that accreditation on our first review, and receiving accreditation for 4 years on the first review, which is the longest that we can get accreditation for. And so it was a great achievement. Yes, our certificate. So just before I turn things over to Sandy, who's going to talk a little bit more about the history of the organization, I also wanted to recognize a few former board members and current board members. We actually have two other former board chairs with us here tonight. We have Karen Murphy and Linda Masato, both of whom I had the pleasure of working with on the board. So they're fairly recent past board chairs. And we also have a few other current and former board members. We have Mark Howard, who's current chair of the audit committee. Ron DeBoer. We have Charles Brennan. And Danielle Angara as well. I didn't know Danielle was going to be here tonight. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for attending as well. So now I will turn it over to Sandy, our CEO.
He always likes to make things difficult. So, welcome everyone. This is really exciting. 50 years of service in the community. And I think, as Frank said, we're so pleased because this is the history of CMHA in this room. Well, not quite. Some of the people from the early 60s aren't here, but pretty well the history throughout the whole 50 years is represented in this room. So it is really exciting. And I think Frank mentioned it, as we prepared for tonight, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at our archives, but as we prepared, we were really struck by two things. One, how far we've come. Two, how far we haven't come. And the work that's yet to be done. But I think what we've done so far is a really strong indication of what we can accomplish in the future. If you haven't had a chance, check out the archives room, because it really is significant. Looking at what those few volunteers in 1962, they raised $8,000 going door to door. They called it the bell ringing campaign. That would be unheard of today, to have volunteers going door to door with basically an unknown little charity raising that much money. So that was really, really significant. And some of the really significant things they've done really changed the whole face of mental health services in Peel. Those volunteers, if you've had a chance to look in that archives room, were instrumental in setting up the first psychiatric unit at Trillium Health Center. That was one of their goals when they first got together. They also established the Peel Assessment Center and the distress line in Peel. And they were all volunteers. They had no staff at that time. So for me, it's just so significant looking at the hours and hours of time. And Nimrata and I were talking about why is that? Like, so many volunteers achieved so much, and today it wouldn't happen. Well, the ladies were at home back then. And so they did a lot of volunteer work. And when you look at the original board members on the boards, many of them were women who weren't working in the workforce. And they were really committed to the health of their community. So that was really significant. I think one of the things that we wanted to do tonight is just see where everybody came into our organization. So I'm just going to go decade by decade and see, have you raise your hand and say, you know, when you were here with CMHA. So is there anyone here from the 1960s? Courtney. I don't even think you were born in the 1960s. How about the 1970s? No. We know there were people in the 1980s, so. Woo! And back in the 1980s and the 1970s, the 1970s actually was when the White Cross started the first two programs that we currently have today under Partnership Place, and that was Peel Aftercare Resources South and Peel Aftercare Resources North. And aftercare was because it was for people after they were discharged from a psychiatric hospital. So it sounds like a really kind of not a nice term today, but back then it was meant as something very positive. It was aftercare. It was after you got out of the hospital, and they saw that as something very positive. So that was in the late 1970s. In the 80s, we had actually 3 alternative housing houses back then, and we existed in holes in the walls. So those of you who were with us in the 80s knew what kind of places we were in. Actually, Maxine said to me when she came in, "Boy, we've come a long way from empty your garbage at the end of the day and clean your office and check that the mouse traps are all set." But that's what it was like. I mean, Par South was on Confederation Parkway, which was a horrendous little lawyer's office before we were there. We're not sure what kind of a lawyer he was because he left all his legal documents in the basement. Do you remember that? And at one point when we were moving out, he came to retrieve all his legal documents. And Par North was in the top. I don't even know if the clock tower is still there in downtown Brampton, but it is? Yeah. Okay, so we were on the 3rd floor of the clock tower with a little trap door that went through to where you could actually get to the clock. And I remember one of my first jobs at Par North then was driving all the way from Mississauga with a cooked turkey and all its juice and gravy in the back seat of my car. And it's, yes, slop everywhere. So the next time my husband used the car, he said, what did you have in this car? Like there was, and then carrying the turkey up 3 flights of stairs, because of course we didn't have facilities back then. And if you were doing, cooking or something as a program, well, you had to bring all the ingredients from home. We had no money for that type of thing. So that was the 80s. How about the 90s? Who started with cmha in the 90s? There you go. There's a few people. I think there's a few people that didn't put their hands up, too. So in the 90s, we were on Wolfdale Road in Clarence, and the programs grew and expanded, but the significant thing for me with the 90s was talking to all the members about what size of a smoking lounge they wanted. And what color would we paint it? Like it would make any difference in 2 years, right? And I just saw Dawn French, another of our former board chairs, just came in the room. Welcome, Dawn. So in the 2000s then, we had a literal explosion of services. We adopted the recovery philosophy. And here we are in 2012 with a budget of almost 13 million and almost 100 staff. So when you think that we started as a completely volunteer-driven and volunteer-run organization, it's pretty significant. As Frank said, we're still fighting the stigma, but it has improved out there a little bit. We've still a ways to go. But today, I'm just, again, completely overwhelmed by what those volunteers accomplished back in the 1960s. Another thing I just wanted to mention tonight is our Walk for Life, Walk for Hope, which we had on this past Saturday. And we had about 100 people out. It was a walk in honor of the life of a young man who committed suicide 5 years ago. And Frank, we want to announce how much we raised, and we don't even know how much we raised. I promised you I wouldn't open the check until we were here tonight, so this is the complete unveiling. So let's see how much we raised at our walk on Saturday. Okay. 10,826. So congratulations to everyone who walked, to everyone who gathered pledges, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. So thanks so much to all of you. I think Sheila said we exceeded or met her goal. I'm not sure which it was, but we certainly exceeded my goal, so I think that's fantastic. We do have a very special cake here that we want to have cut, and then we would like to encourage everyone to help themselves and continue to visit. So I'm going to ask PJ Day and Charles Brennan, former staff and former board member, to come. Oh, we don't have a knife. So far, everything has worked really, really well. Oh, we do have a knife. Okay. So Charles and PJ, would you like to come up and cut the cake? And we'll get our photographers over there.
I will break the wrist.
There you go.
There.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so I'm asking everyone to help yourselves to cake. We'll get PJ to do some more cutting. She's an OT, so she's very good at that kind of thing. And I just wanted to remind you, if you haven't had a chance to check out the archives room, check that out. It's really, really interesting. Visit with each other, get some more drinks, some food, and have a piece of cake. We also have a number of other events coming up for our reunion, so stay tuned. I don't know whoever thought we should get accredited 1 year, move, and then have an event every second month for a whole year, but here we are. So check out our website, and anniversary website for upcoming events. Thank you very much for coming.